Hey,
Mandy.
hi.
Hi.
So good to see you.
I'm running a little bit late. Shannon just walked in the door with a pile of groceries, and we can't do two things at once in 400 square feet.
I don't blame you. You know, I had already told everyone that you were having connectivity issues, so you didn't have
Oh,
to out yourself there. I got you.
thank
Can
you.
you? So can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you sound great. And I'm screen recording too. So, yay.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Cool.
I don't know.
Yeah, so we were just chatting. I was talking about this flea and tick spray that's working for my dogs. I'm drinking this, so my teeth and mouth are gonna be all blue throughout this whole thing.
Yeah, I've got mine in the fridge, so I'll be drinking mine too.
Yeah. It gets chunky after a while, so I'm going to try to drink it relatively quickly.
Yes. I've been
So,
trying to say,
welcome everyone. Thank you all so much for being here. Michelle and I absolutely love having you guys on here, talking with us live. And today we are continuing our conversation on healing spiritually, healing emotionally. Whatever comes up will come up. So if you guys have any questions or comments or your own experiences that you want to add to the conversation, we'd love to hear that. So since I'm talking, I'll go ahead and introduce myself. I'm Mandi Palmer. I'm a food and lifestyle success coach, and I've been healing with medical medium information for 3.5 years now. And I've healed, I actually just did a post 2 posts ago. So look on there and see the list. I tried really hard to get the list of everything. I'm terrible at that. I feel like I always miss stuff. And I'm still healing a couple of things. You know, I'm not 100% healed. I'm not claiming to be. I still have some things that I'm working on, and that's just how this journey is. So yeah, on to the lovely Michelle.
thank you. Thank you all for being with us today. God, Mandy and I have so much fun doing this, and I think we're both feeling so good recently that we're able to do it, pretty often. My name's Michelle, and I have been following medical medium pretty strictly for 3 years now, and I have healed numerous issues, including digestion, anxiety, depression, diverticulitis, endometriosis, restless leg, hot flashes, um, and more, but I just can't think of right now. But shingles, I'm healing shingles and Epstein-Barr virus and strep, which are viruses that we're all born with. And, every now and then we have our flares, but for the most part, I feel amazing. And last week, I think I said I feel 10 to 15 years younger, and Mandy said, well, you look it. And I couldn't hear her. I didn't hear that. And I was like, yeah. And thank you.
Of course.
I do. I feel like I'm 30, not 51. And that's an amazing feeling to feel, especially when you're busting it out every day physically in the garden, or we're building our home. And so I want to say this real quick, Mandy, because we didn't say it last week, and it's so important, because we assume that we're just surrounded by the medical medium community who clearly knows who medical medium is. But if you're not familiar with medical medium, this is Anthony William and Spirit of Compassion combined, who have written, he's a 6-time New York Times best-selling author, and he is the originator of the celery juice movement, which is healing millions around the world. So that's medical medium, and we get together because we love medical medium, Anthony Williams, Spirit of Compassion, and want to share this healing information with anyone that's just not aware yet, of how you can empower yourself to heal.
Vivian told us that she can hardly hear you, and I don't know who she was talking about. Is Michelle a lot more muted than I am, guys? Yeah, medical medium rules.
Yeah. Hey, Nick. Hi, Helene.
Thank you, Helene.
It takes beauty to recognize beauty in another, you know.
So if both of our sound is okay, then we will keep going, guys.
Yeah, give us
Um, it
a
was just
thumbs up.
it was just that one comment. I hear you. Michelle is slightly muted. I can hear. Okay.
Okay. Um, I'll talk a little bit louder. Nick, can you hear me better? So today we are continuing the conversation about spirituality, spiritual healing, emotional healing, and even angels. And last week, okay, great, you can hear us fine. Last week, you know, we told some personal stories about some experiences we've had with angels and, uh, you know, spiritual and emotional healing. And it just seemed like there's just so much more to talk about. So we're back this week to continue the conversation. So,
Yeah. I'm excited to keep talking about this because, like we said last week, it's such a huge piece, and it's sometimes such an unexpected piece. You know, when people start eating a lot more raw foods and reading these books and feeling empowered, there can almost be this surprise of soul healing that happens. You know,
yeah,
if people aren't they're seeking it because it's just a natural progression of healing.
yes. And sometimes those are good experiences and sometimes not so good. You know, it's really good when you realize that all of a sudden you're remembering your dreams in vivid detail and you weren't remembering them before. Or if your intuition you realize is really strong and you just know in your gut, you know, what is correct and what is incorrect. And, you know, there's a lot of misinformation in the world, and that's invaluable to have that intuition strengthen. And then also sometimes, you know, when you're detoxing, you have emotions come up, old emotions come up, and detox out through the adrenaline that surged when you had maybe a traumatic experience. And um, those are not so fun, but they're very short lived. And once they're gone, they're gone. So, uh, you know, emotional, spiritual, mental healing is um, really important to the overall healing. What does it mean if you don't remember your dreams? TBG 55. I don't know what it means, but my instincts tell me that it has something to do with, you know, a congested liver or a congested system, maybe from environmental toxins or diet. You know, once you start eating more living foods and you use celery juice and a heavy metal detox smoothie to cleanse your system, you become more of a clear channel. And I think, and this is just me intuitively talking, I think that you just naturally become more clear to receive messages from the spirit realm. You become more clear to remember your dreams. I also talk to the angel of dreams and I talk to the angel of sleep and I ask them to help me remember my dreams. Sometimes I ask for really positive, uplifting, fun dreams because there's a lot of soul healing that happens when you're dreaming. And sometimes those bad dreams are necessary for soul healing because in the moment that you experience trauma in your life, sometimes we don't really process that because we have to keep going forward. And so that sometimes those nightmares or those bad dreams kind of help your soul process those experiences.
Yeah, interesting. My mom never does.
I
Okay.
didn't remember my dreams for years, not at all. Like I assumed I wasn't dreaming. And like I said, I'm 51, and early on in my early years, I had horrific nightmares. And it's only been in the last 1.5 to 2 years that I've been remembering my dreams. And more recently, I would say in the last year, very vivid memory of my dreams.
Yeah, I had never forgotten. Like I would never wake up and forget mine, but it's definitely become, it's almost like a daily now. It used to not be every night that I'd remember. And now if I wake up in the middle of the night, I can remember it, what I just had. If I wake up in the morning, I can remember what I just had. And it's just a lot more clear.
Yeah,
I can remember more details. I can remember more pieces versus just the last piece that I saw before I woke up. Like I can go further back in the dream.
yeah,
And I can't say that they mean anything. But sometimes it's just fun to recall.
yeah. I've
Yeah.
got some crazy ass strange dreams. They are wild.
I
And
mean, they're a
sometimes,
form of healing.
yeah,
They're a form of healing. They're a
yeah,
form of our brain making sense of certain things. And Anthony says, bad dreams are healing.
yeah, yeah. I've had crazy dreams about aliens. I've had dreams about a lot of dreams about food, a lot of dreams about preparing food. Um, I've had dreams. Both of my parents have passed, so I've had dreams. Most of my issues were with my mother, and so I've had a lot of dreams about my mom, just kind of in a normal setting, because there was nothing really normal about our relationship, and that's been kind of fun for me, just having that her presence in my everyday life. That's just kind of normal and harmonizing and not loud and dramatic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
That's wonderful.
I also have lots of dreams about. I'm with a lot of large groups of people, and there's some kind of teaching involved, and but we're all a close knit community, or we're on a retreat or something, and yeah, I'm not sure what that's about. I know that when I was a child, I had premonitions. I had dreams that came true, and that was one of the things that scared the living daylights out of me, honestly. Um, so I may have perpetuated my own lack of memory when it comes to dreams
Mm-hmm.
because of that and the nightmares.
Yeah, I can see that. I can also see those returning.
Yeah.
If it's something that you want to happen,
Mm-hmm.
I can see that returning if you wanted it to.
Right now, I'm drinking cucumber apple juice. I usually have that after my celery juice, and then I have the detox smoothie or liver rescue smoothie.
Yeah, today I did cantaloupe after my celery juice, and then I made cucumber, apple, kale, ginger, turmeric.
Oh, yum.
Now I'm on this.
So, so last week we told some personal stories, and I don't really have. I have one other story I'd like to share. It's not really about angels, but it's about spiritual, mental, and emotional healing.
Yeah, tell us.
All right, so where to begin? Let's see. I want to say this was about 20 years ago. Gosh, I was working in the fine art business of reproducing art for artists around the world, and I was working for a company that had just started this business, and I was having conversations with artists that would come into the studio, and they would tell me about their wild and crazy weekends, and what they do for fun. And um, I just came to the realization, it was like a rude awakening, that I never really knew how to have fun. Like, just kind of drop my guard and have fun, you know. Honestly, I had um, drank alcohol on and off throughout my life. I smoked marijuana on and off, and none of those things helped me like loosen up enough to have a good time, to really enjoy myself. I always felt so guarded, on guard, you know, which was, I guess, a safety mechanism from childhood. So I had friended an older woman. I had a lot of mother figures that became friends in my life, and she came in one day and she was very intuitive, and she said, "So how are you doing?" And I said, I'm doing okay." I said, "Can I talk to you about something?" And I knew that she was studying to be a shaman. Like, she was doing circle, like fire circle. I'm not sure what they call that. But for 30 years, she had been studying to be a shaman. And so I said, "Lisa, I just feel like I've never really known how to have a good time without, you know, I can't. I don't know how to cut loose and just have a good time. I mean, I used to go out dancing all the time. That was fun. But I had a couple drinks of wine, which helped that." And she said, "Have you ever heard of a soul retrieval?" Soul retrieval. And I said, "No." She said, "Well, go look it up. Go search it out, read about it, see what you think. Here's the phone number to my shaman." His name, God rest his soul, was Will Rocking Bear. And she said, "He's my teacher. And if you're interested in doing this ceremony, just call him up and tell him that you want to do this." I said, "Okay." So at the time, I was married to my first husband, who was a complete freeloader. I put him through college while I worked all the time, and he didn't work. And I was I was fed up, really fed up, and with the wrong person. I guess it was the right person at the time. And so I read about it, and I decided that it resonated with me, and I was going to go try this. So a soul retrieval is a Native American Indian ceremony where they believe that when you experience traumas in your life, during that trauma, because it's so difficult for the human spirit, the human soul, to cope, part of that soul escapes into the ethers. And so that you can almost live in denial. Psychologists call it disassociation. And so, I felt fragmented. I felt like I wasn't a whole person, from childhood trauma, numerous traumas. And so I called Will Rocking Bear, and I made an appointment. And my friend Lisa told me that I was supposed to bring a gift. Like, you're not supposed to pay for this service, but a gift is appreciated. So I brought him. I said, "Well, what do I give him?" She said, "Bring him some." I think it was raw tobacco. And I also decided that I was going to bring him a piece of artwork that I purchased from one of my clients. That was a black and white pencil charcoal sketch of Native American hands together creating a ceramic piece. It was gorgeous. and I purchased a print from this artist. So I went and I drove up into the mountains. I wish I could remember the name of the town. I meant to look it up earlier, but it's north of Barnardsville in western North Carolina. Tiny little town. To the, I think it was called the Rain Medicine Lodge or something like that. And I went in, and it's a very sacred place. Um, and I started crying immediately. And I didn't know, I don't know why I was crying. I just had, I'm an empath. I could have been picking up on a lot of other energies there. I could have just been having compassion for myself and for what I was about to do. I'm not sure. Um, I was shaking hands, I gave my gifts to Will, um, and he had an assistant that was, and she was a young Native American Indian who was going to do the ceremony while Will, Rocking Bear, did drumming. And they brought me into this huge room that was covered in blankets and pillows, and these huge floor to ceiling windows that opened out to this forest that was just so magical. All the windows were open, and the wind was coming in, and oh my gosh, I got goosebumps just thinking about it. They used sage to cleanse themselves and me, and the young girl, whose name I can't remember, asked me to lay down on the floor, and Will started drumming. Apparently the drumming helps the facilitator go into the fourth dimension to retrieve soul parts that have escaped during traumas. So I'm still crying. I'm on the floor. She covers me with a blanket, and she's just sitting next to me. I don't think she's touching me. I hear the drumming in the background. And after quite a few minutes of this, I'm, crying on the floor, just trying to keep it together still. And she says, "Michelle, we're done. You can sit up now." And she said, "How do you feel?" And I said, "Well, I feel just as emotional as I did when I came in here, honestly." And she said, "Do you feel any different?" And I said, "Maybe." I said, "I'm just rattled with emotion." And she said, "Well, I was able to retrieve all of your soul parts and found that they were terrified to return.
Mm.
So now it's your job to make them feel welcome, safe, and at home." I told them that there's no longer any trauma, that it is safe to return, and that you would welcome them with open arms. I said, "Okay." She said, "Your parts that were missing were your 2-year-old, your 11-year-old, your 13-year-old, and your 17-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And I know exactly why. I know exactly why, and I'll tell you. I'm not positive about what happened when I was 2, but I know that I was either born with or developed severe chronic asthma from probably anxiety combined with my environment of chain smoking. My parents chain smoked and drank alcohol. And so it could have been an asthma attack, or it could have been what my mother told me was a bee sting that happened. A bee stung me like right in my eye at age 2. So I'm not real positive about that. My 11-year-old, that's when the gang rape happened by 4 strange men in their 20s. And 12 or 13. I never really knew exactly the age. It was when I was a freshman in high school. Was when the second rape happened, and I was locked in a car. And my 17-year-old, I am sure, is because I had reached my max on the drama at home, and I had decided that I was going to escape. So I set it up so that right after I graduated from high school, I would move 5 hours away to Ocean City, Maryland, and I would move in with 3 people that I had never seen or spoken to before, and just to escape. And I had received a scholarship to the Art Institute of Pittsburgh for that following fall. So I just wanted to get away, and I just wanted to kind of find myself, I guess, before I went off to Pittsburgh in the fall. And so I decided to leave 2 days after I graduated from high school. And so that was traumatic for me, because I'm leaving home for the first time. I have no money. My parents offered to help me financially, and I said no thank you, because I needed to know that I could make it on my own. I really just did not want to depend on them at all for anything. And I did. I moved into this 1-bedroom apartment with these 3 other people, and in order to afford the rent, I worked 3 jobs. I thought I was going to have a blast that summer and just, party and have a grand old time before I went off to college. But no, I worked all the time. I worked from early morning until 2 in the morning. And it was the best thing I ever did, because I grew up really fast. I mean, I had already grown up pretty fast, but in the real world. So I didn't realize the impact this experience would have on me, because on the day I was just so emotional. I couldn't depict how I was truly feeling, because it was just so emotional. And but what I was told by my friend Lisa, and by what I researched, was that even though you may not feel differently after a soul retrieval, you are the real world. Yeah, it's real. Is that sometimes you make major life decisions that you didn't even see coming. Like, boom. And so that's what happened. I went home that day, and the following month, I told my first husband to go kick rocks. I mean, I'm done. Leave. I need you gone. I've had enough. I can't take it anymore. And so we separated. And the following month, I was offered the business that I was working for. So I said yes, absolutely, and I renovated my basement in Fletcher, North Carolina, and I took over that business, and I started working for myself, which was really hard, but it was empowering, and I felt strong. And and also I was on an anti-anxiety, antidepressant called Lexapro during the entire length of my first marriage, which was about 4 years. And as soon as I ended that relationship, I naturally just started weaning off of this medication, and I lost 50 pounds. I mean, this all happened within 2 to 3 months. So it was pretty miraculous. And yeah, I mean, I don't know that I would necessarily recommend that to people as a spiritual type of healing or ceremony, but for me, it definitely made me feel more whole and complete and it helped me during that time tremendously. So
Yeah, that's a really cool story. It's really cool to see how drastic your life changed, how different you felt in those 2 to 3 months. A lot of times, somebody can easily do one of those things and say, "Oh, I didn't notice the difference. I felt the same, when I left that day." But then when you look at how much your life changed and how different you felt moving on,
yeah,
and in those situations, it's it's kind of easy to see how much it really did for
yeah.
you.
And the young lady that did the ceremony, she said, "Is there anything you'd like to say to your parts?" Like they're home now. Is there anything you'd like to say to them? And I was like, "Well, welcome." I felt a little silly. Okay,
Yeah.
but
Right.
that I can remember truly was the beginning of me nurturing self-compassion, because I didn't want them to leave again. I wanted to really, in my own private home and setting, I wanted to make them feel welcome and ensure them that it was safe and that we were all going to work together to continue healing. And eventually that brought us to medical medium.
Yeah. And medical medium, this isn't something that he has talked about. Medical medium is not like, "Oh, guys, you should do soul retrieval," or "I did one and it was great." But he talks about the soul having tears. I believe that's the word he uses. It could be a different word.
Mm-hmm.
Tears in the soul.
Yeah.
And because he says that when he does a reading that he can see that. And, so as we heal, even if we're not doing anything like soul retrieval, we're not specifically trying to heal our soul. When we are eating these healing foods and when we're cleansing, that stuff heals. There's a passage that I'm thinking about in the first book right now. Maybe I'll try to find it when you're reading, when you're doing a reading, because this has to do with that. Oh yeah, it's about how when we eat foods like all those foods that we would say are bad, it's because our soul isn't whole. I don't know if he uses the word whole in the quote. I'd have to find it, but something like that. So we create these foods to fill that desire within us, and eating this way, eating all these alive fruits and vegetables, we heal this way, and we can heal our soul. And when we talk to the angels and we use things like our creativity, he talks about in the healing path how critical using our creativity is to our healing. Like, he uses the example of stacking rocks. I believe that's a meditation. And we mentioned this last time, every little thing that you create, the angels are there to witness. And I think about that often. It's so beautiful. No matter what I feel like I'm creating, I know that I have a divine audience. So yeah. So he talks about it in terms of like the soul being torn. So I can just see those parts coming back together.
Yeah. I wonder.
When the soul is healing.
I wasn't going to read this particular part, but I want to read it right now just because it's so poignant to what you're saying. Um, this is from his first book, Medical Medium: Secrets Behind Chronic and Mystery Illness and How to Finally Heal. And it is from chapter 22, Soul Healing Meditations and Techniques. And this is an actual meditation that you can do, and it's called Gazing Beyond the Stars.
Mm-hmm.
That one?
Mm-hmm. I still do that one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels so in sync with, our soul parts, because, and this is such a beautiful, beautiful imagery. It's not uncommon for a person's soul to become damaged by adversity or stress, especially when that person has been dealing with mystery illness for years on end. That's why God created a built-in safety mechanism for our souls. The majority of your soul is here, within you on earth. Far up in the ether, though, beyond the stars, God has safeguarded the essence of your soul. The angels protect it there in the heavens, so that no matter what happens down here, your soul will be secure. It's a little like keeping a second key to your house in a lockbox in the garage, so that if your regular key goes missing, you can still get into the house. Or like securing your laptop with a password and keeping a backup encryption key in case you forget your login credentials. Along those same lines, God keeps the essences of our souls up beyond the stars in case we lose ourselves. And there are so many ways for people to lose themselves here on earth. People's souls can fracture as they go through life, or pieces can even go missing.
Oh, so he does say that.
Injuries,
Oh.
yeah. Injuries, whether physical or emotional, from past lives, work, or childhood, send people soul searching. Addiction, too, comes in every shape and size and can rob people of their souls. There's alcohol and drug addiction, but also food addiction, gambling addiction, addiction to seeing oneself in a negative way, and many more. Addictions are a poison that can take people so far away from themselves that they become almost soulless. Yet you can never really lose yourself. You always have the ability to reunite with your soul because of God's safekeeping method, which Spirit has asked me to reveal here. You don't have to search for that sense of wholeness anymore. To reclaim your soul, spend time each night gazing up at the sky. First, get familiar with the stars. Your soul has a direct telepathic connection to them. Let their light and the wonder of their existence resonate for a few moments. Then shift your focus to the space beyond the stars. Envision that your true home lies way up there in a place free from suffering. It's the place some call heaven, God, the light, or the infinite. You may have uncomfortable associations with those words and prefer not to name the destination. Either way, remind yourself that part of you resides in this sanctuary, unharmed by Earth's adversities. When you eventually pass from this earth, that's where you'll go. Tell yourself, this is a home I belong to and will someday warmly return. Spend as much time on this exercise as you like. The goal is repetition and reinforcement. You can stargaze for just 3 minutes a night and find that your soul rejuvenates in dazzling ways. Woo!
Yeah, that's really beautiful. And I love how he says pieces of your soul can go missing. That right there verifies how healing a soul retrieval can be.
Yeah, yeah. And again, I'm not, what page? That is page 325 in his first book, Medical Medium, chapter 22, Soul Healing Meditations and Techniques. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. And every time that I've done this, I always ask Shannon to go outside with me because, you know, we're in the wild. I mean, we have bears and bobcats and, you know, so I'll ask him to go outside with me. And every time that Shannon and I have looked up at the stars, and I'm not kidding you, it's been every time. We don't do this all the time. But when we look up at the stars on a clear night, you can see the Milky Way up here. But every time we do this meditation, we see a falling star. We see a shooting star.
Wow.
Yeah, it's almost like just confirmation. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So magical.
That is really cool.
So magical.
So I think you had another one that you wanted to read as well.
Yeah.
Right.
You want me to go ahead and read it?
Yeah.
All right. I just realized my dryer is on. That may be muffling the sound a little bit. Hold on just one second.
I didn't hear anything. Yeah, so she got a couple of wows in the comments as she was reading that last passage. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Passage.
Integrated. Integrated is the word. I feel much more integrated. I mean, now more than ever after, you know, reading all of the medical medium books.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the beginning for me, for sure. um, let's see. So this is from Cleanse to Heal, chapter 26, called Empowered Souls. And this section is called Take the Blame Off Your Soul. I'm just going to read a short part of it, because it's our conditioning to blame ourselves, you know? And we have to get past that in order to have self-compassion.
Yeah, especially for those that have been diagnosed with an autoimmune disease and the
Yeah.
blame has been put on their body.
Yeah. Being told that your body attacks itself is just straight up not true. It's just not true. Um, when you experience when you experience a symptom that you can't figure out how to control and you lean on the medical system for support, it's not uncommon to find that what we think of as one of the most important parts of our world, the medical system, is not as stable, reliable, and all-knowing as we believed. We can't blame medical research and science for not having answers about chronic suffering yet. We do need to be aware of what little children, and especially young women, are raised to believe: that science makes us safe and has all the answers. That when we're sick, it's because of something wrong with the facet of who we are. Long after they're grown up, women keep hearing this. So again, when that happens, where does the inevitable injury go? It settles itself within the soul. Over time, it breaks a person's spirit too. This means then that discovering the truth behind chronic and mystery illness is about keeping the soul strong within a woman, child, or any other person for that matter. It's about protecting your soul. One of the most important foundations to hold on to is that no matter what, in the end, it's not your fault. You can be empowered if self-hatred is dominating you. Self-hatred controlled by negligence from the medical establishment that operates above the doctors. From their very work, medical research and science know it is human nature to blame ourselves the moment we fall ill. Once you take the blame off your own soul and realize your symptom, condition, illness, or disease is not your fault and not your body's fault, you can become truly empowered. This kind of empowerment is more important than we know. It rises above false empowerment that's based on entitlement and ego. You are not the reason you have unknown symptoms and conditions. You are not why you are sick. That is so important to realize. The body, Anthony was just talking about this on his live the other night. Your body is divinely intelligent and knows exactly what to do to heal. Exactly what to do. And once we realize and learn how we can support it in healing, things really happen fast. Complete healing, does take time. But think about how long it took us to get here. It's for a lot of people, it's taken many years. For a lot of people, they've suffered since they were children.
Mm-hmm.
And but when both Mandy and I can attest, to when we first started protocols, medical medium protocols, that we got results very, very fast within weeks. And, things just progressively get better. So self-forgiveness, self-compassion, being gentle and patient are imperative for healing and continued healing.
Yeah, it's easier sometimes to give those attributes to others and feel that for others versus ourselves, but we have to feel that for ourselves. We have to.
Yeah. And you may feel like, well, no, I don't want to appear selfish, or that's too selfish. I'd rather do something for somebody else. But think about how much you're helping other people by setting the example of being compassionate with yourself, doing loving nurturing things for yourself, you're showing others that that's what they should do for themselves. You know, we can talk the talk all day long, but if you're not walking the walk and doing the things, you know, people are just going to do what you do, not what you say. You know, we really feed off of each other that way. I just think
Mhm.
rhyme.
And it's even cuter in your Southern accent.
I don't have an accent.
That's what everyone says.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't done a soul retrieval, but I did do a cord cutting ceremony, a Native American cord cutting ceremony. I participated in it twice. And I don't even really think that you need a ceremony to do that, because after I did that, I pretty much just started doing it on my own. But the ceremony was really cool. You know, everyone had a drum or some kind of instrument to keep this it was like this white noise that just kind of allowed you to kind of be in that meditative space, which is different, because usually we think of needing, quiet for meditation.
Yeah.
But and then there's probably way more to it than I don't understand, or wasn't explained to me at the time. But I remember her, going over my body, and she would make this sound, and she would do it with her hand and make the sound. So
Wow.
it really gave some physicality to those cords really being cut. And I don't remember ever noticing anything different at the time. But when I did use it on my own, one time when we were having a tough situation with a property, there was a lot of parties involved, there was an investor involved, and we had partners involved, and it was getting really negative
Mm.
and kind of nasty. And so I did a cord cutting between all of us, and we were having trouble selling a property that we were all involved in. And once I did that, it sold.
Wow.
And this was a problem we were having for a couple of months. And so they're really, again, this isn't, medical mediums doesn't say, oh, do a meditation on cord cutting. But that's just an experience that I had, one little example of how diving into or using some of these other spiritual tools can help change things. And, another one that was really profound and made a difference is the Ho'oponopono. Are you familiar with Ho'oponopono?
Only through you.
Okay.
Only through you.
Okay. So Ho'oponopono is the four statements of, and I have a teacher who added a fifth statement, and I always mix up which statement he added and which are the original four. So I'm just going to name the five that I have used.
Okay.
And it's, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I forgive you, and thank you. Oh, bye, Nicholas. Good to see you. Thanks for being on here.
Love you, babe.
And so I remember one situation in particular way back when Aaron and I owned the gym. We had these new neighbors, and we were so noisy, and they were so nasty to us.
Oh.
I mean, I don't blame them. Noise can be really disrupting when you're in an office and trying to work. And I did the five statements on them. I thought about it and meditated on it and everything. And just like that, the complaint stopped. Nothing else. We didn't do anything this was even after we did some noise. We did something to correct it, but they still complained. And it wasn't until I did the five statements that it stopped, and it was peaceful between us. It was so miraculous that I started telling so many people about it. Like, one of our coaches was having a problem at the time. I'm like, look, you got to try these five statements. It really works.
Yeah.
And
I'm
he's like,
sorry.
okay, what are they again? And he was trying to remember them. And so, these things can be so powerful. I'm like, these aren't things that it's going to heal everything in your life, but they're fun and useful tools to help us along the way.
Yeah. It's all energy, and we are all energy. So we are just born empowered more than we realize. You know, we can affect our energy and we can affect the energy around us. I truly believe that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. So, I'd like to read one more thing. Do we have
Yeah, I thought you had one more. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, treating life as a dream says interesting.
So this is the last one. All right. This is out of Life Changing Foods, and it's the chapter Life Changing Angels, um, on page 303. And it's called This Is Your Time. And this is just a portion of that. Life can be so difficult at times that it feels random or worse, cruel. Let me assure you, whatever tragedies you've witnessed or traumas you faced were not the judgments of a cold-hearted, punishing God, nor were they the result of a divine vacuum. The problems in our world are attributable to the reckless decisions of humans who have lost faith in the good of others and made poor use of their free will, and who are influenced by fallen angels who no longer work for God. That's what is responsible for violence, war, and the destruction of the planet. This is so poignant right now.
Yeah.
When we feel like there's no reason to have faith, that's when we need it the most. Faith that there is a divine presence in the world, a presence that sees the same suffering we do, finds it senseless, and wants to offer us aid. Don't let the troublemakers and peace breakers, those people overtaken by greed and rage, rob you of your faith. Do not let them rob you of a sense of peace amid the chaos. God's angels, such as the life-changing angels and the essential angels, are busy running around the globe, dying out fires caused by the people who've lost faith and started listening to the fallen angels. And God's archangels are going head to head with the war machines. Faith is intricate and belief is one piece woven through it. Belief in God's angels, coupled with faith that God has not abandoned or betrayed us, can be a lifeline if you let it. If you once believed in angels, then felt like your efforts to make contact with them didn't work and therefore angels must not be real, you can now revise your thinking. After reading this book, you've entered into a different time in your life. You need not despair or live in the dark anymore. You've learned the secrets of how to change your life and the key to contacting angels. You can ask for their support and you can support them right back as we all work together to make this place defined by good. We have the power to do that.
Mm-hmm.
With the help of the angels and God. We absolutely do. Without question in my mind. I'm
Yeah.
so grateful for this information.
And that's also a continuation of how Anthony said in a live, I believe he said in a live recently something about a spiritual war. I think that was in a live, right?
Yes, he talked about a spiritual war here on earth and above.
And above.
Right now.
And so there was something in there that pointed towards that.
Yeah. Yeah. These are trying times, but we all came down. I was talking to Achota the other day. Achota is healing. And, it's no accident that we're here right now, that we chose to come into this world during this time. We are empowered beings.
I wish I didn't, but I did.
You don't mean that. You don't mean that. You're a warrior princess.
No, being a light worker, I know that it's needed. To fight those, as he said in that quote we just read, those that are starting all these fires from just because their souls have leaned towards more of a darkness and they're creating some of this chaos, and so we have to balance that out.
Yeah, but the light always wins and love always wins. I hold that in my heart every day. Every day. I believe that. This is a good one.
Yeah, it's a really wonderful topic. So I'm glad we touched on it and made it two whole hours of
Yeah,
all the spiritual fun talk.
yeah. And we can sprinkle it in future lives for sure.
Yeah, it's just part of it. It's just part of it. Sometimes hard to separate, even, because the foods have such a spiritual component to them as well, and just this whole healing journey. It's really just so intertwined.
Yeah. Hi, Michelle. Trust life is a dream, I think. Trust life as dream.
Treating life
Hi,
as dream.
Michelle. I just met her recently. She's a wonderful soul and, going through some stuff. Thank you for being here with us today.
And she says, working together, yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay, everyone. We have 20 seconds remaining. So thank you all so, so much for being on here with us. We absolutely love you. We wish you all the best in your healing journeys.
Yes. We love you all so very much. I love you, Mandy, and I can't wait
Mhm.
until we do this again.
Yeah, until next time.
Blessings.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.